welcome to the Vision Podcast episode 4. So today we are here to discuss about the topic how biosequence searching has revolutionized the patent analysis. Starting with the basics, what is biosequencing? Biosequence searching is actually a specialized way to search for the patent databases to check for the DNA, RNA and the protein sequences. Instead of just searching through the keywords, we can actually input the DNA and RNA and protein sequences and look for the patents which are having the similar or identical sequences. This is actually powerful because sequences are universal. They don't change with the languages or with the terminologies. Initially, when I started in the IP, I came across the term sequence ID in the patent claims. So I was just confused and wondering what does it actually mean? So it was explained to me that it's actually a unique number that is assigned to the disclosed nucleic acids or the protein sequences that are provided in the patent application without getting repeated every time it is mentioned in the patent. So you want to know that how we are implementing the biosequence searching in our various patent searches.
First, let's talk about the patentability search. Suppose you have discovered a novel protein that can revolutionize a cancer treatment. So, before filing a patent, one need to know whether that sequence is novel or someone has already claimed it or something similar. This is where biosequence searches come into the picture. Unique specialized databases or tools such as NCBI, BLAST and other commercially available databases such as STN, GenomeQuest, PatSnap Bio. These are the commercial patent sequence databases that from which one can search for millions of sequences through various patent documents present worldwide. These tools not only tell you about the exact matches but also sequences with various degree of similarity. For instance, one of a client has given the patentability search in which I have provided with a particular protein sequence. So when I perform a sequence searching for that particular sequence, I came across a result that is showing 95% similarity. So this doesn't mean that client protein sequence is not novel, but it raises a very important question that what is the significance of that 5% difference? Does it confer a novel function? These are the kinds of insights that biosequence searching helps us to uncover.
Now let's shift gears to the freedom to operate searches. These are equally critical but they have a different purpose. While the patentability focus on whether the sequence can be patentable, FTO searches determine whether you can use that specific sequence without infringing any other patent's right. For example, consider this like you are developing a therapeutic antibody. Now you have an exact sequence which is not claimed in any of the patent, but still there might be a broader patent claims that might be covering a wide range of similar sequences. So there the biosequence searching comes in the picture and helps us to identify these potential roadblocks in the early development and which can actually save a company's millions of R&D costing and maybe any potential litigations as well.
I'm very fascinated by the way biosequence searching is handling all these variations. Modern tools can search for exact sequence matches, similar sequence above certain threshold and even specific motifs or patterns. Not only this, even can predict the functional similarities.
Yeah.
So by integrating these biosequence searches, patent analysis and even a product development, companies can minimize their product cost or you can say minimize the risk they are facing in the market and optimize their product designs and even ensure due diligence for the successful commercialization of their product. So what makes the biosequence searches particularly so challenging in patent analysis?
Usually the patent documents have patent sequences in various formats. So sometimes their deliberate variations are given in order to broaden the claim scope. So while searching, we need to keep certain points in our mind. We need to check for the sequence variants, we need to check for the fragment sequences, we need to check for the complementary sequences and the different sequence formats in which are being published in the patent applications.
So what would be the better practice according to you can suggest?
So while conducting biosequence searches for the patents, search for the both patent and for the non-patent databases. Ensure that you have checked along all the tools, all the databases in order to have a comprehensive coverage. Consider all the different sequence formats and document your search strategies and go through the results thoroughly. Now, with the rise of artificial intelligence, what do you think would be the future of biosequence searching?
Well, according to me, the future of biosequence searching is very promising if we integrate artificial intelligence and machine learning, because these technology can help to predict functional similarities more accurately, identify distant homologs, and also helps to analyze the patent claim scope more efficiently. Not only this, it can also process a large data sets more efficiently. Additionally, we are seeing a better techniques for exploring non-standard sequences such as modified amino acids or nucleotides, which are becoming more and more significant in the modern biotechnology.
As we wrap up today's episode, we need to understand that biosequence searching is just not a technical tool. It's a critical strategic biotechnology IP management. Whether you are filing the patents or developing products, you need to understand and effectively use biosequence searches so that it can make the difference between the success and the costly setback.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us with like, share, and comment.
Your feedback helps us to grow and bring better content in the future.
Thank you.